Hey everybody, Norm here. I'm glad to be with you again talking about new features in LabVIEW 2025 Q3. This time we're going to talk about logging of unwired errors. Now, one of the things to note before we talk about getting into logging of unwired errors is what happens with the LabVIEW when we have automatic error handling turned on and why this feature even exists in the first place. Well, not the automatic error handling, but the new one. So let's go ahead and look at the code real quick. So if I go to this VI that I have right now here, I'm going to interactively run this piece of code. And you'll see that when the error happens, there's something that has happened with my temperature sensor, and I have to choose whether I'm continuing or stopping. Now, this is because even if I hit stop, you'll see it takes me to the block diagram. There's a variety of negative things that happen when this feature is turned on for automatic error handling. One, it interrupts the whole program from running, which can cause a whole myriad of issues, especially in the world of test and measurement and control systems and everything else. So there's a pretty common or large group of LabVIEW developers that just by de facto like to turn off automatic error handling on an individual VI or from within the LabVIEW Options window here. Let me see if I can do Alt-T and O to take me to the options. You can see on the block diagram, there's a section here for, where did it go? Right there, where you want to necessarily enable and disable or stop the dialogues for the error handling. So this whole section of should your program change its behavior because it has an error or an unwired error very specifically. And like I said, a lot of people turn that off, but the problem is that if I turn that off, and I go ahead and I run the code again, let's just go ahead and run it. It ran, it stopped, and you don't know why. Now, this is an interactive session, and that's kind of bad enough, but the reality is that the opposite, say you were doing some automatic building or automatic testing or kind of using LabVIEW as an executable, and you really didn't want the executable to show everybody your dialogue, but you've missed that information. You no longer see what happened. The error came, it left, my program stopped running, but I don't know why. That's exactly one of those things are the reasons why this feature exists. So let's see what happens when I go back to my LabVIEW options menu. I go to the block diagram and I scroll down and I re-enable the logging of unwired errors. Let's talk about some of the things that will now exist. So you'll see by default, it saves the information into the LabVIEW data directory. It's kind of like where a lot of stuff is in your probes, and you can set this path actually from within the same logging dialog, from within the paths dialog. And if you look down here, you'll see the default data directory within LabVIEW. Now that path that you see right there, let's see if I can get back to it. There we go. That path is the one where a lot of stuff in LabVIEW is going to be put. Like I said, the probes and other LabVIEW default data directory. So be careful changing it, but you should know where it is. Now, going back to that same portion of the dialog, if you wanted to open it up very quickly, you can just go ahead and hit Explore, and that will open up a Windows Explorer or I guess whichever directory you have on your operating system. And you can see now that we have a specific file. Kind of de facto makes a file. There's nothing in the file at the moment, but for each session, it's going to make a generic file so that it can start to save information when it happens. All right, so now let's see what happens when we'll leave the error handling dialog turned on. And go ahead and let this run one more time. Now I'm going to go ahead and run this. Now I'm going to actually see the error and I can choose to continue or stop. But now if I go to and look at my auto-populating folder that I have here, for reference, this is something I did manually so that I could see in my project and get access to that file very quickly. It's not I don't know whether it's a good idea or a bad idea. We're all getting used to these new features, but you can see that I have a very specific log of the information. Let's see what I've got here. I've got the application instance because it could be LabVIEW executable. It could be test stand running LabVIEW runtime engine. Technically could be a DLL calling into the LabVIEW runtime engine. And then also information about the VI and other critical information that can kind of lead you to what the actual issue was at hand. And so now we have that available. And so are you going to want that at the same time? Well, sometimes it's useful when you have a dialogue open and you let go and you're like, what was in that dialogue? So the information is a minimum there. But like I said, a lot of this is going to be particularly useful when you don't have a dialogue, when you don't have something up in front of you and you don't want to interrupt that overall workflow. But you don't want to miss the errors. That's the critical part of it. So it's an unhandled error, but as a minimum, you can get it. So let's talk a little bit about how we can get that information. So let's talk about LabVIEW and how many files that will get created. you will get a new file per session of LabVIEW being open. Like you double clicked on labview.exe, there's a new session. Or you're running, once again, an instance of the LabVIEW runtime engine, which could happen from like a packed project or a LabVIEW built DLL, test stand calling into LabVIEW run RTE, and I think a few different other places that we've got there. So we're talking about that. So we get a per session information within that file. You're going to know more about it. Another thing very specifically to note, you can kind of using this cheat sheet that I've got over here to the side, and this is probably a really, really big one. I'm just going to kind of highlight it right there, is that this should not be your error logging strategy. This is something that can be used. It can hold a lot of information if you've got a lot of errors happening here, but it should not be the way that you handle or catch errors. It's much more appropriate as a programmer to implement the error logging strategy that makes the most sense for you. Put it in your specific directory and things like that. So, or even log the rest of necessary information, or better put, in the name of error handling, do something about the error as opposed to just announcing it to the end users. So sorry, I'm stump speeching a little bit here in terms of that. But one thing to note, don't abuse this feature as the way of taking care of everything. Handle it appropriately, but you have this available to you as appropriate. So some of the other things there is that we talked about the path and where it logs to. And then also, if you have it being called through a runtime engine, it is indeed disabled by default. So this is a feature that exists within the labview.ini file or your executable.ini, or however that ends up, that ini file associated with your application exists, that you can enable this as well. And in that instance, they will go to they go to different directories that are associated with that specific file. I think by default it goes to the your operating system's temporary directory, and then it goes to like app data. And if those two aren't available, it will go and be right next to your executable. If you've got feedback on where you would like this feature to be or those files to be, let us know. Once again, we're actively looking for feedback in terms of some of the default behavior that we put in there. This is the first release of this feature, so we want to know. And so a couple other things within LabVIEW to note that are probably relevant here is how do you programmatically set or unset this feature? So if I were to go into and just create a, let's see, RN, that's going to be a property node. I'm going to go to my application instance of LabVIEW. Let's see if I can find that here. VI server reference, not this VI. I want to go to this application. And you can see that underneath here, I've got a lot of features that are available. And you can see here that log unwired errors is an available option that's underneath there. That would be one of the features that you do to go ahead and enable and set that. And then there's an accompanying one as well, application error log file path. And so these two settings give you the ability to set the specific enabled or disabled state. And this goes for your entire application, not just a VI. So whatever instance that you're on, and then you can extract out what the path is for that. Now, one of the design considerations for this is that we're just giving you a very large log of information, but you might want to make a log file viewer that allows you to kind of quickly scroll through that information. And you may have noted when we had it open just a moment ago, and I'll do it right now, is that file is a JSON string. And so that's kind of the text formatting. So if you have a JSON interpreter of your choice, or you want to make one in LabVIEW, that would give you the ability to very quickly scroll through this information that you might be seeing in your system. All right, so a couple other quick notes in terms of when this gets logged or when a VI does not get logged. A couple different things that you will note is that the logging is irrespective of whether or not automatic error handling is disabled here. But a few things to note in the LabVIEW execution is that allow debugging needs to be turned on. So if you've turned that off, it will not log. Another thing is that the inlining of a sub VI, regardless of that, needs to actually be, it can't be true. We're not allowed to do it with inlining of sub VIs, because if I turn on debugging, you'll see that I now have an error that I can no longer allow debugging with inlining or with a malleable VI. Also, it's something with an extension of .vim. So debugging needs to be turned on. It needs to be, debugging is turned on. It can't be inline and it can't be malleable. Those are the situations where it's not allowed. Now, one last thing as well, in terms of it not being allowed, is that underneath LabVIEW RT or LabVIEW FPGA, neither of those environments or flavors of LabVIEW will have this feature available. It's kind of just within the desktop target. All right, so that really brings us to a wrap. That kind of think that covered most, if not all, the features of this, and hopefully that gives you a deeper feel for the purpose and the intent behind it, and how it can aid what you're doing, whether or not you're doing automatic error handling, whether you love it or hate it, or whether or not you just want to see these things. Hey, I clicked the continue button a little bit too fast, and I lost all the information as to what error just showed up. It has value, it has purpose, and hopefully it accelerates your workflow, whether or not you're doing software engineering with continuous integration and development, or whether or not you're just doing some quick scripting in LabVIEW to just call some functions in a row, and you want to see that information happen and some more information logged when those errors happen. So stick around, and I'll see you in the next videos. Thanks.